But we begin with the first 6 jurors seated in that New York hush money trial of Donald Trump. Those sworn in today, including an Irish-born man who works in sales. He's the foreperson, as well as an oncology nurse and a corporate attorney. 6 more jurors and 6 alternates are still needed to complete jury selection. The former president today seated back in that courtroom where at one point the judge scolded him, accusing him of muttering while a prospective juror was speaking. Prosecutors also filing a motion to hold Trump in contempt, saying he willfully violated that gag order in this case by attacking 2 known witnesses, Michael Cohen and Stormy Daniels, on social media. Trump has pleaded not guilty to charges he falsified business records as part of an alleged effort to hide hush money payments to Daniels. So we turn now to ABC News investigative reporter Olivia Rubin, live outside that courtroom in Manhattan, along with ABC News legal contributor and trial attorney Brian Buckmeyer. Olivia, I want to start with you. This is from the pool note today. I want to read it to you, and you've seen this, but our viewers haven't. This is about the prospective jurors that they brought into the courtroom. And at one point it says, quote, "Some looked around curiously as they passed the half-dozen journalists and a sketch artist in the back. Ma'am, put your cell phone away," a court security officer told one panelist after she saw Trump and tried to pull out her phone. I read that to say, these are normal people thrust into a very unusual experience. We have 6 of them now seated on this jury. What do we know about them?
I think that's exactly right, Jay. I'm so glad you read that because people never get to hear those. And I spoke with another juror who was dismissed earlier today, who also just spoke about her shock walking into the room and seeing former President Donald Trump sitting there. She said that she essentially could not believe it. So like you said, these are normal people. And I'm just reading some of the notes that we have pulled together on them. Like you said, you know, there is a nurse, there is a teacher who lives in Harlem. And what they said about Donald Trump is so telling. So for example, Jay, take a listen to juror number 4. This is a man who's originally from Puerto Rico. He lived in the Lower East Side for 40 years and he works in IT. And this is what he said about Donald Trump when asked. He said he finds him mysterious and fascinating. He said, quote, "He walks into a room and he sets people off one way or the other. I find that really interesting. Really, this one guy can do all of this. Wow, that's what I think." And Trump's own attorney, Todd Blanche, seemed actually a little bit at a loss by that response and saying, all right, thank you. So those are the type of people that are being seated on this jury. And I want to give you one more example, if you can bear with me, that there was another juror. She's juror number 5 now. She's from Harlem. She's a teacher. And Jay, she was actually the only one in her group who did not raise her hand when the panel was asked if they were aware that Donald Trump was indicted in multiple criminal cases. So she said she just learned about the other indictments while inside that room. And this juror, an African-American woman, said that she doesn't consider herself political, but that she liked Trump's candor. She said, "President Trump speaks his mind, and I'd rather that than someone who's in office who you don't know what they're thinking." So just a little taste of the first half of the jury panel that has just been seated this afternoon, Jay.
It's interesting. These are the jurors who expressed opinions about Trump that weren't objectionable either to the judge or to either side. We had 90 plus, right, who were brought in. We got 6 out of that, and there are only a handful that remain out of that 90 plus batch. So I guess my question to you is, Olivia, what comes next in this process?
Well, you're exactly right. There's just a few jurors left who are finishing answering their questionnaires on the 15th floor in the room with former President Trump right now. And then when they finish, we're going to come back on Thursday and they'll finish up with those the 4 jurors remaining. But what the judge already did was he swore in that next panel of 96 jurors, because remember, now that they're done with the first panel, it's back to the beginning, the process we started, where over half of the jurors initially dismissed themselves. So they'll start whittling down again. But Judge Juan Marchand did express confidence that this could wrap up by the end of this week. He told the first 6 jurors that are sworn in to be back here Monday, 9:30 a.m. for potential opening statements in this trial. He said it could slide, but a real warning sign that this could be kicking into gear next week.
So, Brian, counselor, I should say, once a jury is seated, in your legal experience, walk us through what prosecutors are going to need to prove here.
So once a jury is seated in this case, the prosecutor is going to have to prove what they've alleged or in the indictment is falsification of business records in the first degree. Basically meaning that Donald Trump intended to defraud by covering up a crime or aiding and abetting in that crime. And the major question here is going to be, what is that underlying crime? And I think for the prosecution, their goal here is to show that there were election violations done, and that led to the enhancement of what typically is a misdemeanor and goes up to a felony. But I think what they're also going to do, and I'm kind of like reading the tea leaves here from the objections and the Sandoval rulings, as well as the evidence they're trying to bring in, is show that Donald Trump had this program of release and ultimately try to prove their case through that.
Day 2 of this trial, and it will continue. Olivia and Brian, thank you both for your time.